It's time to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers, and I have joining me here in the studio a lawyer and social development advocate, Jide Ologun. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
And via Zoom is a lawyer as well and public affairs analyst, Tunji Abdul Hamid. Good morning to you. Right, let me quickly delve into the newspaper headlines. The first that I have here is the Nigerian Tribune. Says pilots feared dead as NAF aircraft crashes in Kaduna. Explosion kills, injures many in Taraba. Terrorists kill 3 out of 26 abducted in Kaduna community. That's on page 29 of the Nigerian Tribune. Daily Times is next. Nobody will be allowed to destabilize Nigeria. That's President Muhammad Buhari says in spite of current security challenges, Nigeria will succeed. That's the president expressing his optimism about the country, Nigeria, there in the Daily Times newspaper. Daily Sun is next. Kuka adamant. There's President Buhari. Challenges Lai Mohammed. President said to open debate on achievements. Says First Lady also faults government's policies. Nobody will be allowed to destabilize the country. President Buhari saying that. You see that on page 6 and 28 of the Daily Sun. Kuka adamant. There's President Buhari. The Punch newspaper is next. Electoral Act. Presidency. OSGF disagree over President Buhari's minister's refusal to resign. Like Amechi Ngige declares for presidency, refuses to leave office. Governor Ganduje and Oyetola, resignation of appointees contesting 2023 polls. A Marafa faction warns APC against repeating Zamfara 2019 mistake. The Punch newspaper, Electoral Act, Presidency, OSGF disagree over Buhari minister's refusal to resign. Vanguard newspaper is next. Interim government, poll suspension more dangerous to Nigeria. Afenifere Nwodo Uzodinma, Middle Belt Forum, Pandef. Interim government call, sign of a failed state. Afenifere, Nigerians must not listen to Afebe Balola. Okwesilieze Nwodo saying that, and it's call for anarchy, Uzodinma, not tenable in a democracy, MBF. Oh, battle for PDP ticket hot. That the next day is the Nation newspaper. Battle for PDP ticket hots up as nomination closes today. Tambuwal submits form, says I will unite Nigerians. Governor Wike, field me or we lose. Obi meets delegates and we will be fair to all. Ayu assures there. The next newspaper is This Nigeria. PDP presidential primaries aspirants storm party headquarters. PDP presidential primaries as aspirants storm party headquarters. Will oust APC if I get tickets, says Governor Wike. Tambuwal submits some nomination form as former Governor Fayose meets NWC. We don't need consensus candidates. That's Obi saying there. Blueprint. Governor Ganduje to Wike on 2023 presidency. We see your efforts, but you will lose. We see your efforts, but you will lose, according to Governor Ganduje to incumbent Governor Wike of Rivers State. First News is next. Presidential primaries. APC goes for indirect poll. APC goes for indirect poll. Quite interesting. Now, leadership is next. Cancer patients stranded for months at National Hospital over faulty machine. Cancer patients stranded for months at National Hospital over faulty machine. That's the leadership newspaper there. Daily Trust, Hajj 2022. Pilgrims to pay more as Naira tumbles. Pilgrims to pay more as Naira tumbles. That's according to Daily Trust reporting on Hajj 2022. National economy is next. Banks, telcos battle for slice of 38 million naira 38 million unbanked Nigerians. I don't know, each time we read figures, I always mistakenly put Naira in front of it. Banks, telcos battle for slice of 38 million unbanked Nigerians. Next is News Direct. Vandalism, global price surge. Oil firms borrowing from banks hits 5.6 trillion naira. Vandalism and global price surge. Oil firms borrowing from banks hits 5.6 trillion naira. Guardian newspaper is the last but not least. Stakeholders canvass stronger recovery plans for IOC debts. IOC's indigenous players still owe federal government 1.3 trillion naira amid borrowing. Banks' loans to oil and gas companies jumped to 5.68 trillion naira. That's the Guardian newspaper. Well, let's delve into what the newspapers reported this morning. There's a story as we get the affair Babalola saying that we should opt for interim, government. That's like 6 months interval before we conduct the general election. What would you say to this? Let me start with you from Zoom. You're a lawyer, so how do you weigh in on this? Interim government, post suspension, more dangerous to Nigeria. That's in response to the newspaper headlines that we took yesterday from Afe Babalola. What's your reaction to this? Mr. Tunji Abdulhamid, it's for you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, we can hear you.
I think I don't agree with the learned sick, with due respect. I don't know the basis upon which we are going into interim. As far as I'm concerned, our constitution or our law is not our problem, and it's not the reasons why we are where we are today. We are where we are today not because we don't have a law to help us. We may have, yes, granted, we may have a lacuna, we may have errors, we may have inadequate provisions in our law. That is not enough to say the law is our problem. If we operate and maintain the law the way it is and abide by what the law says, 50% of it or 40% of it, Nigeria will be better than 20 times better than where we are today, or even 100% better than where we are today. What we need is the attitude of our people. What we need is the people who are the fear of the country or the interest of the country at heart. We need people who can sacrifice and say, look, we are here to serve, not to benefit and to gain anything. So if we are putting in interim government now, who are those that will form the interim government? The same set of people who have been in government for long, or who have been in the corridor of government for long. How will the interim government determine? Who will determine it? Which region, which ethnic group will form the head of the interim? It will still be the same problem we are having. So I think what we need is attitude change, attitudinal change. We will have people with interest of our people at heart. Those who want to really serve and give benefit to the people, we have change. As far as I'm concerned, interim government or the normal government we're having may not change anything, except we are ready to serve our people. So as far as I want to respectively disagree with our learned that interim government will solve our problem as it is. There will be a lot of issue when we even go to interim government, because like I said earlier on, the modality of how the interim government will operate, what will be the basis, what will be the legal backing for that interim government will be an issue to tackle. So as far as, based on those grants, I think it's not enough for us to say, look, our problem is constitution, and therefore let's go and operate our interim government to clear this situation on grant. It's not help our situation. It will even add more to our problem. Right. And I think we should be looking for another a situation whereby the modality on who leads us is changed, and then we'll look at leadership, people who have interest of the country at heart, and then those who can serve, who have the capacity to deliver for us. Right. Not just anybody in government, not just by sentiment, not just by ethnicity,
right,
and absolutely. Not just by anything.
Right. Let me bring you to the studio. Let me bring you to the studio, Barrister Jide Ologun. Well, according to the Vanguard newspaper, interim government post suspension more dangerous to Nigeria. You probably have another, a contrary opinion to that.
Let's start by defining interim. It means an intervening period. We had one in Nigeria between August and November 1993, when the Hope Nigeria was dashed, and people clamored and IBB stepped out of office. So an interim government came headed by Chief Ernest Shoneko, and just like a stopgap, and that was taken over by General Sani Abacha. So the interim government is also a reflection of emergency, intervening. So, and what we can deduce now is that this government may have been judged as a failure. And going into the 2023 election, many have seen as quite volatile because of the situation in the country, the insecurity, and different kinds of issues. That, okay, rather than go all the way and plunge into a huge crisis, let's have an interim government. And the big question now is that, how do we constitute the interim government? Is it not going to be an interim government that will continue with the complaints we have now? Insecurity, inflation in the land, poverty, killings, kidnapping. So
okay. Could it be, sorry to butt in, could it be an escapism away from the noise about what you just reeled out, insecurity, economy that's been battered, and so on and so forth? Maybe we just need to take a break and then decide, do lots and lots of retrospection, and then decide on who is best. It's
not a matter of break. You see, let's face the reality. If your car engine is smoking, that means the engine is bad. Some in the past will say, okay, let's go and ring the engine, and they may ring it about 3 times. And wise ones will say, let me change this engine outrightly. So let's go to the polls. And if the country is becoming too dangerous for elections, let the National Assembly proceed to impeach the president. Section 14, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says that the security and the welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. So when the primary purpose of government is defeated, what are we waiting for? So let us migrate from palliative approaches. We spend 100 billion naira turning around moribund refineries. Would it have made any difference if we built new ones and ignite our economy? You see, right now, ASU is on strike, in court indefinitely, different kinds of crises. So let the National Assembly rise up. Let the kings in the land rise up. Invite their representatives in the National Assembly. Invite the senators, the clerics, everybody. Give this government what we want done. The National Assembly is a unique feature in democracy. You don't find it in the military government. They are so powerful. 109 senators, 360 House of Reps members. So now it's like all Nigerians are trying to get involved in government just because of insecurity and the poverty and the hardship in the land. So I will not subscribe to an interim government. Let's have an outright, a headlong approach to solving the fundamental problems of this land. Is this a picture of a developmental democracy? If the answer is no, then let those we have empowered to represent us proceed. The National Assembly is asking for the change of service chiefs. How many times will we change service chiefs? Now we are buying helicopters. Is war an industry? Where is the foreign exchange for industrialists to operate in the land?
Right.
What is the impact on the economy? So interim government of an ineffective government will be an ineffective interim government. Nigerians, let's face this problem once and for all. And if anybody is trying to scuttle the 2023 election, then you have an arch enemy. We rise up against the person legitimately through the National Assembly.
All right, let's change tack by looking at what the Punch newspaper reports this morning. Electoral Act. I'll be coming to you on Zoom. Tunji Abdulhamid. Presidency, OSGF disagree over President Buhari's minister's refusal to resign. Like Amechi Ngige declares for presidency, refuses to leave office. But then we know that about 53 commissioners and other aides of state government have resigned in many states to contest for elective positions ahead of 2023 elections. So do you think this is really in order, looking at the contentious issues around Section 8412 of the amended Electoral Act?
Yeah, I think it is at their own peril if they refuse to resign, because they may be hoping that because that another of the high courts which nullifies that section 84, subsection 12, they may be safe. And if at the end of the day they are not safe, it is their own choice. So they have a choice to make whether to comply with it or not, and whether to resign or not to resign. I think it's better to be on the safe side, so for them to resign and see what will happen thereafter. But say remaining in government and still want to contest election, I don't understand it. You want to eat your cake and you want to have it back. I don't understand what they are trying to. If you are contesting election, the essence of that, what we are saying that look, you can't sit in a government position, you can't sit in the position of appointment of authority and use our money to give advantage to yourself in terms of looking for position in government. So I think it is unfair for anyone to be an appointee of the government, sit down there, contest election, use the government apparatus, use government money, use government facilities, use everything belonging to the government to achieve its objective in terms of gaining position and to its advantage. Anyway, like I said earlier on, whether they want to resign or not is their choice and is their own peril. If they fail to resign and the law caught up with them, then that's their own kind of tea. I think most people in the ministers, they feel like they are above the law and they are not. They don't even think probably because they don't have anybody directing them. Because I know most of those in the states where you see people resigning, it is the government that said, look, if you know you have an interest in contesting for election, go and resign. I have not heard my president say anything about that. He's just allowing them and allowing them to stay put, even when he knows that some of them have intention to contest election. It is issue of leadership. If you have somebody who can direct, it appears nobody is checking them, nobody's looking at them, nobody's supervising them. That's the way it is. I expect the president to have made statement in that regard.
Right.
To say, look, if you are doing this, you are doing that, follow this law, and let's be on the safe side. Especially when they are in the same party.
Well, still on the Punch newspaper, ministers at the federal level, just like I said a little earlier, Rotimi Amechi, Senator Chris Ngige Abubakar Malami, and other heads of federal agencies who are in elected positions. Is there something they know that we don't know?
Most likely, to answer your question precisely. But the law is specific. There's a time frame within which they are expected to resign before becoming delegate or being nominated for the primary engagement. And if they choose to flout the law is waiting, and right now it's like we have conflicting decisions. Recall that the position was you have to resign as a political appointee before you get involved. And someone went to court, and the court said that provision in the Amendment Act 2022 is not valid, that it should be expunged. And as we speak, the National Assembly decided to go on appeal. But some parties, stalwarts, have advised their members that you better obey these laws. And if they choose not to obey, then we follow it up. And it may be a landmine politically for some of them because all your efforts may be knocked off if you flout these laws. And the big question is that to what extent are Nigerian politicians, reverenced as law-abiding? So they may want to walk on the face of naked knife, and let's see if
maybe
all things are possible. But it's just quite interesting that a lot of people are jumping into this space right now, and I think it's good for us.
Maybe they are trying to make a political gamble, which might be suicidal.
They've always gambled,
or not. Let's look at what the Leadership newspaper reports this morning, and probably we take that home. We go home with that. Cancer patients stranded for months at National Hospital over faulty machine. I remember having a conversation with a medical doctor yesterday where we talked about, he actually berated and lamented the issue of the health sector, the issues we're facing there. But there was a story maybe 2 days ago or thereabout that there's no need for medical tourism. We've got one of the best cancer cancer treatments, a machine in Borno State, which is the state-of-the-art facility. But this is another story that actually belies that.
I think this amplifies the position of Reverend Kuka, who has complained that it's like the whole system has collapsed. And let me ask a benchmarking question also. Why should we have gas crisis in Nigeria where Nigeria has the largest deposit of proven gas in Africa, you see, and that is what we are finding. So we have the machines are faulty. And so who do you blame? But why won't we find ourselves in this situation when it is difficult for the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces to even submit himself for medical attention in the country? So, and I say this with all due respect. So to what extent do we love this country? So you see huge investment. I made mention earlier how we claim to have spent 100 billion naira to turn around moribund refineries. So, and I have always said that there's a difference between infrastructure and superstructure. The superstructure is the human element that we handle the infrastructure. Look at the Kaduna Abuja rail project. Is it being patronized maximally now? No. The attack and everything. So we need to wake up as a nation.
Because of our time, Tunji Abdulhamid, I want you to quickly weigh in on this, very quickly, on the minute.
I think, you see, we are just deceiving ourselves. Because you can't be doing the same thing the same way and expect different results. We are not improving our health sectors. We are not doing anything we are not adding anything more to it. And we are not even buying enough equipment or even improving on it. And we expect things to change. The electricity is bad. Everything is bad. The water and what they will use in the hospital are not being provided, and you expect it to work in the way they are. You see, our health sector is the way it is because most of those who are our leaders don't believe in our health system. They go abroad to do their medical, and then you expect anything to change until we all believe in our health system. I mean, I'm talking about those in the leadership. They lead by example. They use our health facilities. Then there will be improvement in that sector. But until that is done, nothing will change.
All right, lawyer and public affairs analyst Tunji Abdulhamid on Zoom. Thank you very kindly for your insight. And lawyer and social development advocate Jide Ologun, thank you so much for your time.
God bless Nigeria.